Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So, a bit of a light week this week for content. Unfortunately, the match that I recorded for the Black War Greymon X mirror match, 2 weeks in a row now, I've lost my footage. Super irritating, but I want to at least get something out here for you guys, just so you know that I'm still working on things and we're still on track for testing for Nats. Lots of things have been developing, like in multiple different avenues. So I just wanted to kind of give you an update of where the meta scene is kind of look like it's going. Also, don't forget, this month's featured memory marker is Poyomon. So if you're a Jellymon fan, been looking at those Jellymon reveals, this will be a great one to pick up. Fantastic colors. This is handmade out of clay and hand painted as well, all by my wife. So you can find this on our Etsy page, link in the description below for Digimon. Also, you can find all of our previous memory markers that we featured on the channel there as well. All right, so what I've got right here is kind of my like standardized go-to simple straightforward build, right? It's a little conservative. It's a bit slow, I will say. It's a very control heavy deck where you're just kind of relying on stalling out your opponent, right? Just lots of consistency cards, that sort of thing, being able to handle anything your opponent throws at you. Now, what I've noticed with this is in the mirror match and against Grandis specifically, which those are going to be the decks you're going to face the most in this next format, this deck is kind of too slow to handle those because they, in the mirror match, the wrong turn, like literally you're just out of it and they just win. It's really, really rough sometimes. So I've been kind of leaning to go a different route. So I'm trying this out instead. It's a little bit more of an aggro build. We're dropping the black Agumons because you do kind of brick on them every once in a while when you're trying to go into a red Greymon. So just going back to these old 1000 DP boost ones, particularly because in the mirror match, when you're trying to swing over your opponent's Black War Greymon X, if they don't want to block or redirect, they don't have to. And so if they're unsuspended, there's nothing you can do about that. So being able to swing over them while they're unsuspended with your Metal Greymon Inheritable is super, super clutch. So you need multiple avenues of having a DP boost. You can't rely on just those 4 Agumons to give you that 2k buff. You got to have other ways to get about it. So just putting these guys in there just kind of up our consistency on having that 1k buff during your own turn to swing over those Greymons. Very, very powerful. Especially because when you unsuspend, you might not always be popping it. They might have, protection versus, effect pops. So you got to be able to get over them in battle. And so also going off of that, in the mirror match, being more aggressive, having more security attack has actually been super clutch. Even if they do manage to like clear my Black War Greymon X with their own, if I can get them down to 0 security, there's a good chance that I'm going to be able to set up a scenario where I'm going to be able to swing for game before they can clear all 5 of mine, because my deck was way more aggro than theirs, and they're going to have to spend 2 or 3 turns getting in a position where they can finish the game, where I'll only need maybe 1, maybe 2 turns to beat them out. So going back to the Greymons here with the security attack +1 again, really the only difference was the other Greymon that we were playing gave us that 1 cost Evo. But I would say like 90% of the time, I would just Evo that Greymon in Raising Area anyway, so I would never really get that value of that 1 Evo cost. It did come up some, but I will say so far, the Security Attack +1 Inheritable has come up way more. So really liking that. And of course, everything else in here is pretty solid. Went to 3 of the blocker Greymons, just because, like I said, 1, you can redirect with the Black War Greymon X anyways. So, and then half the time, so much in this game is just bigger than you are anyways, that having blocker and being able to stop attacks isn't actually that crucial like you might think. So maybe playing a less control version of this deck and a more of an aggro is the way to go. Kind of leaning in towards like just a War Greymon X sort of strategy, but using like the Black War Greymon X as the top end. And then keep on going from there. You notice I dropped these down a bit. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the final version here. I actually was testing out like a 3-3-3 build or a 3-3-2 build as well. That unsuspend trash to security, super strong, especially in the right matchup. But then this 0 Evo cost Metal Greymon X antibody, really nice. That 0 Evo cost is so good to go on top of your Metal Greymon, and you can still do great plays with that. Whereas that 1-cost Evo Metal Greymon X antibody kind of is a bummer sometimes. So I really like the 0 Evo cost X antibody just because it's 0 Evo, and then gives us security attack +1 and a 3K buff. 3K buff is also fantastic because if you don't have any of your Agumons, which again that does come up, having an alternative way to give a DP boost is super good. So I do like having 2 of these in here, just for those matchups where it's like, oh, I need to be aggressive. Let me just go into this guy right here with the extra security attack, 3K buff. If I've got the 2K buff Agumon as well, I'm at 13K. I can just swing into security with this guy right here. I can just swing just with this guy and get a bunch of security checks. And in this format, 13K is pretty close to being fine. Just in seldom cases do you have to worry about the mirror match like 13K bodies. Besides that, you're pretty much golden and swing into security with that. If you don't have your pieces, of course. If you don't have your X antibody or anything else, or your blitz to go into. And speaking of blitz, Gaiomon is super good. I really underestimated this, and I've actually been debating cutting Black War Greymon out entirely. One, he's got X antibody in his traits, which means you can pick him up off of Cool Boy. Okay, that's super, super strong. But in addition to that, he's got the security attack +1. So again, we can get really aggro in the mirror match and against Grandis. Grandis can sometimes, stall out while they're digging for their pieces, and you can really capitalize on that by getting a bunch of hits in. So that's really good for that. But that blitz is actually a little underrated, I would say. It's what you're doing with the X antibody option is kind of similar, right? You're swinging, you're evoing into your mega mid-swing, right? Where the problem lies in that is Metal Greymon inheritable of attacking unsuspended. You have no way of triggering that inheritable off of these X antibodies because neither of them have the right stipulations to activate his inheritable. So you have to go into the War Greymon first and then attack, and the only way to do that is with Blitz. So the Gaiomon Digivolve on top of the Metal Greymon, then Blitz. That allows you to swing over the other Black War Greymon, right? The Black War Greymon X or whatever it might be. That's how you're going to get over those guys is with Gaiomon. Pretty interesting. I'm a really big fan of taking it in right now for the mirror match specifically, as well as just that security attack +1 is super clutch. And it also has the reboot. So if you do go on top of this Metal Greymon X antibody, you're going to swing, clear that body off the field, and then unsuspend reboot on your opponent's turn, and then you immediately can trigger this to trash the security, so you don't lose out on that security check. So it's in a way, it's a great, fantastic control piece. Also gets a little bit of Digivolve in there to help you get over some of those bigger targets. If you don't have that DP buff, you can still Digivolve and then get over it. Fantastic card. Really liking Gaiomon. Thinking of a 3-3 split at this point. It's great for the consistency. It's still traded as a Greymon, so you can still add it off of things. It's an X antibody, so you can add it off the Cool Boy. Super good card. Yeah. Now, everything else in here is pretty much standardized so far. The Hades Force is still super good. The only reason I'm considering dropping the Black War Greymon entirely is because we have Hades Force. If I do come across anything that's like doing some sort of tamer shenanigans, I've got the Hades Force to handle it, as well as it's a strong card to get hit in security against Grandis. So if Grandis hits it, they're just absolutely toast. It sets them back so far. So Hades Force, fantastic, making up for losing the Black War Greymon potentially. 3 X antibodies feels super solid. Now, if I do go for a 3 Gaiomon, I might consider dropping X antibody down to 2. And what am I going to do with this empty spot? Now, again, this isn't for sure, but if you made it this far in the video, I'm going to clue you in on a little bit of tech that seems to be out freaking standing. The original Omnimon X antibody, not this new one here, but the OG one where you trash 2 sources and you stop an attack. Yeah. That's super, super strong. Absolutely, game breaking. Grandis, you slap that against Grandis, they're done. It's an instant loss for Grandis at that point because they can never get their attacks through. and there's nothing in their deck big enough to get, well, there's nothing in their deck big enough in security, I should say, that you have to worry about. So you can just swing every single turn, popping things, clearing security. Every time they try to attack, you just stun it, and then you can just swing over whatever it is that they try to attack with. All that fun stuff. Yeah. Old OG Omnimon X. OG, also really good in this matchup, in the mirror matchup, just being able to stop those attacks so they can't get through. Yeah, I'm really liking that Omnimon. Super strong. The thing is, though, it's like, do I run that as a 2 of? Just because the decks I struggle against the most, it absolutely blows those decks out. So I'm debating dropping an X antibody and my new Omnimon X to put in 2 of those. I'm going to test it out, of course. Hopefully I'll have that next week. So basically we'll run this same list, but we'll drop the Black War Greymon here for a 3rd Gaiomon, and then we're going to drop an X antibody and an Omnimon X for the 2 OG Omnimon X. I'm still unsure about cutting the X antibody just because this card is so clutch, so powerful, and you so need it for the Black War Greymon X. It's a must-have kind of for that. So it's a big debate there. If I don't want to drop the X antibody, I'll drop an Agumon instead, because I just need the 12. I really just need these 12 right here, and I'm pretty solid with that. And I can drop one of these down to run 13 rookies to fit in the Omnimon. So we'll just have to wait and see how we settle on that, on what the proper cut is. And it might even be just dropping this Omnimon here for the old one as well and keeping the list completely the same. I think we're really narrowing down this list, though. We're really getting it tight and figuring out what's working best. Just a little bit more testing. We're running out of time. We've got like 4 weeks left to nail this down, which it should be plenty of time, but it's looking really good. Hopefully you guys stuck to the end and saw where we're at. Really excited to be running this. And really excited to see what it does. And also, I'll give you a little sneak peek of the grandest deck that I'm playing right now. This is just absolutely wonderful. So far in testing, this deck is stomped. I have won every game I've played with this deck so far. At tournaments, wherever, locals, online, and in testing. Like this deck just does not drop a game. Now, like I said, though, it's kind of a one-trick pony. It only does one thing, and if your opponent can get around that one thing, you're toast. If someone drops that Omnimon X on me, that's it. I lose. They just win. But it's really powerful. If you go into your Akuamon X, suspend the Black War Greymon X, and even if you don't have enough memory to Evo and do any more shenanigans after that, if you slide that X antibody in and you swing into it and Digivolve into your Grandis mid-attack using the X antibody, because it's an X antibody Digimon, and then you go to 16,000, you just clear that Black War Greymon X. Even if it passes turn, you're okay. Yes, you're going to lose out on a lot of security checks, blah, blah, blah. It's worth it, okay? It's still worth it just being able to clear that Black War Greymon X off the field, and then set you up for future turns of being able to clear them off. So this deck is super strong. Yes, I am running the 4 Metal Kabuterimon because it's just one on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other, and just draw. Super good. I love that. I think it's a super underrated consistency strategy. Very powerful. But that was going to do it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully next week I'll actually have some match footage for you guys. Fingers crossed it doesn't get corrupted this time.